You ever see a really slick web app and just wonder what makes it tick? What's actually happening behind the scenes? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to pull back the curtain and look at the code that powers every single click.
So check this out. What you're looking at right now is the finished product. It's a fully functional activity tracker dashboard, super clean, really well organized, and totally interactive. Our whole mission today is to take this exact app and break it down piece by piece so we can see how the whole thing was put together.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. You see all these charts, these tables, the calendar, and you're probably picturing a giant mountain of super complex code, right? But what if I told you it's way simpler than it looks? That's the real story here. The simplicity is actually what makes this so incredibly powerful. Okay, before we dive headfirst into the code, let's do a super quick tour of the app from a user's point of view. It just makes sense, right? If we want to understand how it's made, we first need to get a feel for what it actually does. So everything really starts right over here, in the sidebar on the left. See that little form? That's pretty much the heart of the whole application. It's where you'd go to add a new task, maybe a meeting, or a quick reminder. Think of it as the main gateway for all the data coming into the system.
And once you punch that data in, it doesn't just sit there in a void. Nope, the app immediately grabs it, processes it, and then presents it right back to you in a bunch of really useful ways.
And these are the outputs. You've got your urgent today's reminders right at the top so you can't miss them. Then there's a master list of literally everything you've entered. You also get this great visual chart that shows you what's in progress versus what's finished, and a full monthly calendar view. And the craziest part? All of this comes from that one little input form we just saw.
So, that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How on earth do you go from just plain text in a code file to this interactive, clickable, dynamic dashboard? Well, let's dive in and find out.
All right, let's get under the hood. Every app has an engine, right? A set of core tools that really make it go. For this dashboard, the engine is basically powered by two main pieces of tech.
First up, we have a tool called Streamlit. Now, the best way to think about Streamlit is it's the scaffolding and the paint for your app. It's the thing that lets you build and style the user interface. It handles all the visual stuff, the titles, the buttons, the whole layout, and lets you do it all with surprisingly simple commands.
Okay, so if Streamlit is the builder, then think of Pandas as the master librarian for your data. It takes all that information, every activity, every note, and organizes it into this perfectly neat, searchable structure. This is what makes the data so easy to find, to sort, and to analyze, which, as you can imagine, is absolutely crucial for making sure everything shows up correctly on the screen.
All right, enough with the theory. Let's connect the dots for real. What we're going to do now is look at specific parts of the dashboard, and then I'm going to show you the exact line of code that makes it happen. I promise you, this is where it's all going to click.
Let's start with something obvious, something you can't miss. That big title right at the top of the page. How much code do you think it takes to create that? Seriously, take a guess. 10 lines? 20? More?
Nope, it takes one. Just this single line of code. That's it. This st.title command is from Streamlit, and it literally just tells the app, hey, put a big title on the page. It's that direct. What you see in the quotes is exactly what you get on the screen. Simple as that.
Okay, that was easy. But what about something a little more complex, like that Add Activity form in the sidebar? I mean, it's got a few different fields, a button. Surely that has to be more complicated, right?
You'd think so, but again, it is shockingly straightforward. This one line of code basically tells Streamlit, hey, I'm creating a form and I want you to stick it in the sidebar. And then any input fields you write after this line, they automatically become part of that form. The code almost reads like plain English, describing exactly what it's doing on the screen. So, we've got the visual pieces and we've got the data organized by Pandas, but how do they actually talk to each other? Let's follow the journey of a single piece of data right from the moment you hit that Submit button. It's actually a really simple and kinda elegant loop. Here's how it works. Step 1, you, the user, enter some data. Step 2, the app saves that new entry into a data file. Step 3, the app immediately reloads all the data from that file, which now includes your new piece. And finally, Step 4, the whole dashboard just updates with this fresh information. And that cycle, it happens every single time you add something new. Now, what's so cool about this little loop is that this constant reloading is the secret sauce that makes the dynamic charts possible.
See, the visualizations aren't just static images. They are a live, direct reflection of whatever's in that data file at any given moment.
Take this status chart, for instance. The app just looks at all the activities in the data file, does a quick count, how many are in progress, how many are solved, and then Streamlit just draws the chart based on those fresh numbers. So if you go and add a new task, the app reruns, the counts change, and boom, this chart instantly updates right before your eyes.
And really, that's the whole point, isn't it? We've got this fully interactive dashboard. It's got data entry, tables, dynamic charts, and it's all built from these incredibly readable high-level commands. You don't need to get bogged down in complex web programming. It's almost a direct translation of an idea into a real working tool.
So after seeing just how, well, simply this all comes together, it really brings up one big final question, right? With tools that are this easy to use, what could you build?
I think the big takeaway here is that the barrier to entry for creating your own custom software tools, it's lower than it has ever been. Seriously, you don't need to be a master web developer to build something that's genuinely useful. Tools like these really do empower pretty much anyone to take an idea or just a pile of data and turn it into a working application.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Now that you've seen how directly an idea can become a tool, what problem out there, maybe in your job or just in your daily life, could you solve with a simple little app? What would you build?